Number 7. Good morning. Did you find that people in the military mock those that emphasize the importance of good leadership, who take leading and our responsibilities seriously? What does that mean, mocking? Like people
Make fun of you.
Yeah, like what people in the military making
fun of you because you take leadership super seriously.
Oh, yeah. Kinda like, you're this Boy Scout.
This is an interesting question. So it makes me a little bit nervous because my suspicion is that this individual might be going about being a good leader the wrong way. Oh, yeah. And if you go about it the wrong way, people can take offense to it. If you're the guy that goes around telling everyone that you're a leader and you're trying to be a great leader, people will take offense to that.
Gotcha.
Like, you can't make that part of your thing, right? Mm-hmm. People that talk about the importance of good leadership they come across as implying that they are a good leader. And that can be offensive, especially if you aren't quite as good of a leader as you think you are. So you run around like, you don't understand how important leadership is. Just think about that statement right there. Yeah. You don't understand the importance of leadership, Echo. Mm. All of a sudden, I'm basically telling you, like, I'm a good leader and you're not.
Right.
When the reality is just the way I'm talking proves that I'm not a good leader. Because I'm talking down to you.
Yeah.
So we have a problem right there. And also, if you take leading and are leading responsibilities seriously, what does that actually mean? Does that mean that you can't have any fun with your team? Does that mean you can't laugh at yourself when you've made a mistake? Does that mean that you are trying so hard to give off the impression that you are a great leader that it appears to everyone else that you aren't really who you act like and that your character is disingenuous? Right? If I'm constantly trying to put up this front that I'm the great leader, everyone starts looking at me thinking that guy's not even that's not the real him. Yeah. He's just trying to walk around like a he's not true, right? You think about it, you're trying to build trust, and as a leader, we are trying to build trust. We talked, Dick Winter's talking about honesty being one of the most important traits of a leader. But if we're putting up a facade in how we act, that does not come across as honest.
Yeah.
And that doesn't build trust. In fact, it builds the opposite. And also, if you have to put up a leadership front, if you have to put up a leadership front, in other words, if sometimes you have to act a certain way, fake it, going back to something earlier. Yeah. If you have to act and fake like a leader, that means you might be insecure about your leadership capability, and you will come across as insecure, and people can sense that insecurity. So that can be very problematic. Also, if you're so into being a good leader, that probably means that you have issues giving up the reins. That means that you are probably micromanaging because you want to be a leader. You want to prove to everyone that you're a good leader. And so you start micromanaging. And no one wants to follow a micromanager. They don't want to do that. And if you add all these things together, what do people end up doing? They end up mocking you. They end up mocking the things that you think are important, like leadership itself. They start to make fun of it. It's, oh man, it's like the Needle, I think his name is Needlemeyer in Animal House. Is that the right name?
I don't know. I kind of.
I'm doing a movie reference, and you're not in with me, dude. This is messed up.
All I can give you is John Belushi. That's all I know.
So it's like the leader, the ROTC guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy that's like Mr. Leader. And everyone makes fun of him.
Yeah.
He's trying to be a great leader. He's trying to be the authoritative figure. Everyone is making fun of him. So you have to be careful. In this case, I would recommend you move to the center a little bit more, meaning that on the one hand, you have a leader that isn't building relationship, isn't building trust, expects people to do as they're told, and treat that leader with respect even though they haven't earned it. That's not a good leader. On the other hand, you have leaders that are too close with the troops, has very personal relationships, too personal relationships with the team and has lost any semblance of authority over the team. So there's your two extremes. You want to be balanced in the middle. You want to build relationships with your people. You want to build your team up. And also forcing leadership onto people does not work any more than forcing a religion or a diet or a workout or a political belief system. And can you make someone, from a leadership perspective, if you have authority over other people, can you make someone bow down to your program mechanically for a little while? Yeah, you can. You can. But if it's not from them, if they're not part of it willfully, it's not going to work over time. So, don't beat people up verbally with your leadership lessons. Don't make it your external religion that you are forcing on people. Internally, yes, of course. Obviously, I always thought about leadership. But I wasn't barking it, and I don't even think like the people that taught me the most about leadership, they never said a word to me about leadership. Right? And I'm not saying that that's the best course of action, because sometimes it is good to, pull someone aside and say, hey, this is the way you're acting right now in front of your troops, and that's not going to be effective. Sometimes that is good. Yeah. Especially once you've built the relationship. Because if I don't have a relationship with you, Echo, and I say, hey, I need to talk to you. Hey, the way you're treating your guys right now isn't going to go over very well with them. What's your reaction going to be? You're going to be pissed. Yeah. You're going to think, oh, you don't know my guys. Yeah. I know them better than you. We're going to have a problem. I accomplished nothing. My coaching and mentoring of you was horrible because we didn't have a relationship. So you're not listening. And obviously, of course, when I start coaching and mentoring, that implies that I'm the greatest leader of all time. That's in my implied statement. You suck, I'm great. Yeah. Which people reject that as well, especially when you're not that great of a leader in the first place. Yeah. So don't talk about it so much. Just lead. Be a good leader. Open up discussions. Take a wrap off. Come from the flank instead of going straight on. Maneuver tactically and tactfully, get into their heads and make better leaders by actually leading.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, lead by example kind of thing. It kind of makes you, like the question, kind of how you said in the beginning, it makes you wonder. He says, the question is, do you find that people in the military mock those that emphasize the importance of good leadership? You kind of think to yourself, I wonder how this person is emphasizing the importance of good. Is he the guy at the party who, people are talking about, I don't know, the food or something, then he just busts out leadership stuff? That guy, who's like everything under, like the ROTC guy.
Yeah, like the ROTC guy.
Just everything. He's just pushing it, everything. Leadership is everything. Leadership is everything. Bro, we weren't even talking about that. Leadership is everything kind of thing.
And by the way, this is coming from a person, me, that I literally talk about leadership all the time.
That's how you actually think.
Yeah, and I actually think that way. And I get up on stage and in companies and in front of military members and police officers, and I talk about leadership. That's what I talk about all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what, what's interesting? That's what makes About Face by Colonel David Hackworth. One of the best things about that book is it's not a leadership book. He doesn't talk. He barely says a straightforward sentence that this is how you lead. It's all from the flank. And that's why it gets you so well, because it's from the flank.
Yeah.
It's not a book about leadership. It doesn't even say, how many books get published all the time? This is a leadership book. I wrote a book with Leif, How to Lead and Win.
Yeah.
Hackworth did it better. Hackworth's like, oh, this is about war. Read it.
Yeah. Yeah, in a way. I dig what you're saying, but obviously that's your job.
Well, I guess my point is that if this is coming from someone who talks about leadership all the time, literally wrote a book about leadership, and I'm saying, hey, you might not want to talk about leadership.
It that much.
That's my point, right?
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah, good point.
Just back off a little bit.
Yeah, so if you were like, you go on the road, you do one of your, your deals, and then, at dinner with your family, you start going into your leadership stuff with them. That's what you shouldn't do.
Yes. But what I'm saying is with your team, with your platoon, you don't sit there and say, all right, today we're going to talk about leadership again.
Yeah. You don't, quote unquote, emphasize the importance of good leadership.
Right.
You just demonstrate it.
You just lead.
Yeah.
You just lead.
Do that stuff.
They're smarter than you think they are. You know what you're end up doing is you're kind of condescending.
Yeah.
You can't help it because you're treating them like they don't know. You want to talk about the importance of leadership. They know what the importance of leadership.
Yeah.
They're in the military.
Yeah.
In fact, an example of their reaction of how people take it when you start preaching to them, you know how they take it? They mock you. That's a lesson learned.
Yep.
That's a lesson learned. If people are mocking you, they're not taking you seriously.
Yeah.
That means you're doing something wrong. What you're doing wrong in this case is you're condescendingly talking to them about the importance of leadership. They know what the importance of leadership is.
Yeah.
They're in the military.
Yeah.
They know how bad it is to have a bad platoon sergeant or a bad platoon commander. They know. You don't need to rub it in their face.
Yeah. Remember, I think I told you the story about one of my friends. I'm not going to name his name because I'm certain you know he's a Navy SEAL. We were at a party and he got drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And he's sitting at the table explaining to all of us how badass Navy SEAls are.
Yeah.
Like for a long time too. And he even said those words, Navy SEAls are just so badass. Like we're so badass and this is why and all this stuff. And it's the exact same thing because we know Navy SEAls are badass, but you sitting here telling us how badass you and all Navy SEAls are is going to make us mock you a little bit.
You're going to get mocked.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit. You're going to get mocked a lot.
You're going to get mocked by other Navy SEAls, by the way.
For sure.
Keep doing that stuff. Anyway.
Check. Well, I'm glad that this guy is asking the question. I'm glad that the guy is focused on leadership. And I hope that these points can come across and be digested with no, it's real easy to get offended by what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
If you're him, you're like, he just doesn't get it. You know what I mean? It's real easy to say that.
Yeah.
It's easy to say, it's easy for him to say he doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm the one that's here. I'm trying to get these guys to be better. I'm trying to get my platoon to understand the importance of leadership. I know, man. I know, and I respect that. Yeah. I like the fact that you have that mindset, man. That's awesome.
It's true.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Come from the flank a little bit. Yeah. Come from the flank, man. You're not gonna get it done this way. Yeah.
It's kind of like if you try to convince everyone that you're the most humble person in the world, nobody more humble than me.
Yeah.
I'm the most humble. I'm humbler than that guy. I'm humbler than you. I'm humbler than anyone who've ever lived. I'm just the most humble guy in the world. It just doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't work that way.
Next question.